keep forgetting once I hit record, it does this like come close to you thing. Hi guys, this is Connie, and I am halfway through Connie Reads 8 Keys. I've had lots of fun with videos today, so fun times, fun times. We are on chapter 11. Let's see how far we can go, and I will stop trying to creak in the chair. Title of this one says, let's see, Chapter 11, Books. Your dad collected quite a library. He must have stored it up there, Uncle Hugh explained at dinner. He loved books. Your mom, too. Where did the key come from? It just showed up in my room. Uncle Hugh looked at Aunt Bessie, who shrugged. He went back to stirring the salmon cream sauce noodles on his plate. If one of them was leaving the keys, the other didn't seem to know about it. Did Dad spend a lot of time reading? I asked. He always had a book, wherever he went. That was nice. Later, when he was sick, he didn't have to give up his favorite thing, Aunt Bessie added. And Mom? She was more of a sit-in-her-pink chair than read-on-the-go kind of girl. What did they like to read? Lots of things, I guess. I didn't ask much. Walking up to someone and saying, "What you reading?" is obnoxious. No one's ever asked me that, I said. You're not often caught reading. So, why would Dad leave me a library? Maybe it was something special to him that he could give you, Annie chimed in. But why would he lock it up, I asked. Why couldn't the library just have been open all those years? What's a 3-year-old going to do with all those books? Uncle Hugh pointed out. Color in them? Maybe he wanted you to be old enough to appreciate them. It's not like we don't have plenty of books already. Can I finish my homework out there? There's a big desk. That's okay with me, Aunt Bessie said. We'll stop by to visit, Uncle Hugh said. Okay. Double okay. The barn could be creepy in the dark. Uncle Hugh walked up with me, carrying a standing lamp. Sorry, moved everything. I had my backpack and all my work, which I spread out on the old desk. It's nice to know that I'll never run out of things to read, Uncle Hugh said. He started looking through the shelves, and suddenly he was laughing. What? I asked. He picked up a battered paperback. Your dad's joke book. He used to carry this around all the time. When he was about 10, could never get him to stop telling them. He handed it to me. It felt very worn, but I liked it. I flipped through, found a whole page of Why Did the Chicken Cross the Road? Dad had even written in some of his own. Because on the other side it was Thanksgiving, so only turkeys had to worry. I wasn't sure if that was funny, but it made me smile anyway. I've been looking for this one. Uncle Hugh slid a thin book off the shelf. The town library didn't have it. Can I borrow it? Sure, take whatever you want. Uncle Hugh had already put on his glasses, reading as he walked out. I opened all the desk drawers. There were some old ballpoint pens, a couple paper clips, and a yellow-lined notepad. Plenty of room for my own things if I wanted, if I liked working in the library. It felt very good and official to open my science book flat on the desk and flip through the pages while I answered the questions using the Caroline method. After I finished, but before I started math, I looked at Dad's books. All the books were for grown-ups. There was no sense to how they were arranged, not by topic or author. Maybe it made sense to Dad. What's up? A voice asked. I jumped about a mile. Then I realized it was just Franklin. Jerk! You don't just sneak up on somebody. Sorry. How did you get in here? I should ask you the same question. Annie told me where you were out here, so you opened another room. I told him how the key had appeared. There are so many books in here. Like 1,000, I agreed. More like 3,000. 3,000? Well, 20 bookcases each with about 6 shelves, he pointed. 24 books on this shelf, which rounds to about 25 books on each. So there are about 3,000 books in this room. We stared around at the bookshelves. Feel like reading? I asked. I feel like having hot cocoa and doing the space puzzle. Yeah, I followed him, leaving my homework. The puzzle seemed more important. Caroline was sitting with her usual group at lunch when I spotted her the next day, but the others left eventually. She started reading in the middle of the noisy lunchroom. She really could fall into her own world. When Franklin finished eating and left to check on the mold he was growing for extra credit in science, I went to sit with Caroline. She looked up from her book without marking the place. I remember what Aunt Bessie had said about it being annoying to ask someone what she's reading, so I skipped that question. Would you be interested in a room full of books? Maybe that was an odd thing to ask. I guess so, Caroline said. Where is it? In my barn. You have a room full of books in your barn? Well, I do now. I mean, it's been there. I just didn't know about it. You didn't? I filled her in on the details. I have to admit, they sounded pretty crazy, but she was curious about the rooms and keys. She was busy that afternoon, but the next day she got a pass to come home with me on the bus, which really seemed to annoy Franklin. When we got off the bus, he headed toward his own house. This is a lot of books. Caroline walked into the room and turned slowly. Lucky, you have your own library. That's one way to look at it. It was my dad's. All the books are for grown-ups. Caroline walked over to a shelf and picked up a book. She opened it and smelled the pages. When I gave her a funny look, she said, "Books smell really good." You can borrow some. Caroline ran her fingers along the spines. She seemed to judge books as much by their covers as by the way they smelled and the way the paper felt under her fingertips. They're not all grown-up books, she said. I think they are. Nope. She pulled one off a shelf. Winnie the Pooh. They're just disguised. Hardcovers without jackets. She handed me Winnie the Pooh. I opened it, flipped through. Someone read this to me, I said. I think a teacher. I sniffed the book like Caroline had. I closed my eyes. It wasn't a teacher. It was a man's voice reading. And I wasn't sitting in a desk or a circle of other kids. I was in bed, with my pillows and bunny rabbit, and a sleepy feeling. The memory was so shadowy, I could hardly catch it. Dad read this to me. Well, here, this whole section has kids' books. I pulled several books from their places. Then I heard the smallest noise of metal moving. When I looked at the shelf, there was a key. Caroline, look, I said. Another key, just here on the shelf. She took it from me. It's dusty. I bet it's been here the whole time. The dust on the shelf showed the outline of a key. The key probably had been locked in this room the whole time, in plain sight, on the shelf. Come on, I said. I ran into the hallway with Caroline behind me. I jammed the key into the doorknobs until it fit. When I pushed the door open, an empty room. Not even a note. I stood there, panting. Caroline peered over my shoulder, just as confused. Why would he lock an empty room? I asked eventually. Another mystery. More like a dead end. We were both quiet for a long time. Maybe I should go, Caroline said gently. No, stay. You haven't picked out any books yet. Are you hungry? We're having sloppy joes tonight. Come on. Caroline followed me outside. You have so many leaves. I used to love to go to Amanda's and make a big leaf pile. We'd jump in it for hours. She doesn't like to do that anymore. Don't you have your own trees? Caroline shook her head. We don't even have a yard. We live above the deli in town. We could play in the leaves. Really? Yeah, hang on. I slipped back into the barn and got 2 rakes. Here! Caroline ran and stood under a tree near the driveway with the branches that hung low around our shoulders. We can make the pile here, then jump out of the tree. We scrambled around, trying to make the leaf pile as quickly as possible. Caroline made neat sweeps with the rake, but every time I looked over at her, she swung her rake fast and threw the leaves up high in the air with a goofy smile. It made me think of a clown doing something in a hurry. I couldn't help laughing. It took a long time, maybe an hour, to get the pile deep enough for us. We were both sweating, even though it was kind of cold out. The sun had almost set. You first, I said. It was your idea. Okay. Caroline climbed onto the lowest branch and flopped backward into the pile. That was great, but ouch! She stood up and rubbed her bum. My tailbone. I had never before seen anyone play in the leaves in tights and a skirt. She didn't seem to mind, though. I climbed onto the low branch. I wouldn't hurt my tailbone. Belly flop! I yelled, spreading my arms and heading front first into the leaves. Ha ha! Good idea. Caroline scooted back into the tree and echoed my battle cry, not giving me even a second to get out of the way. She landed on top of me, and we both howled, laughing so hard. Get up! I threw a fistful of leaves at her. Oh yeah? She scooped up a handful of leaves and rubbed them against my head. We gave each other noogies until Caroline tumbled back and spread her arms to make leaf angels. Car lights bounced around in the driveway. Who's that? Caroline sat up. Uncle Hugh. Come on, let's hide and surprise him. We scrambled under the leaves, completely hidden. Wait, I whispered. The car stopped. Uncle Hugh's feet crunched the gravel. His door slammed. Now! Boo! We both jumped up and threw as many leaves as we could. Uncle Hugh wasn't scared. He started laughing. Then he wiped the tears out of his eyes. Cricket, who's this crazy kid? Caroline, I said. Wonderful. Welcome, Caroline. He turned to go in. Come on. You'll have some cleaning up to do. Aunt Bessie won't let 2 hoodlums come to her dinner table. I looked at Caroline. Her usually smooth hair was all fuzzy and full of broken bits of leaves. Her skirt was pulled up and twisted, and there were leaves stuck all over her clothes, too. I probably looked just as bad. We picked up our backpacks and ran to the porch. We tried to get off all the leaves. The ones on our clothes were easy, but there were also leaves in our shirts. We had another fit of laughing when Caroline found some clumped inside her tights. Girls, Uncle Hugh called from inside. Coming! When we paraded into the kitchen, Aunt Bessie said, There's a hairbrush in the bathroom. We giggled some more on our way there. I handed Caroline my hairbrush, and she easily brushed her hair out. Mine would be a lot harder. My hair tie had disappeared while we were having noogie fights. Here, let me. Caroline kept the brush. I sat on the edge of the tub, and she combed my hair carefully, starting at the bottom. After she'd gotten out all the leaves, she put my hair in 2 braids. Even if my hair were long, I couldn't have braids. My hair is so slippery they won't stay in. I stood and admired the braids in the mirror. You want dinner? Okay, Caroline said. I'll call my mom. She got permission to stay. Now that you 2 are cleaned up, Aunt Bessie said when we arrived back in the kitchen, you're in charge of the sauce. She found an extra apron for Caroline. The sauce splattered everywhere, but that was part of the fun. Who's this? Caroline asked when Annie brought Ava to her high chair. Ava, meet. Caroline? Caroline and I answered together. Hi, Caroline, I'm Annie. Want to feed her? I think it's peas and plums tonight. Annie got the containers of baby food. Sure, Caroline said. She talked and sang to Ava while she fed her, and she did a good job. She even used the bib to wipe up Ava's dribbles. I'd have thought they were too yucky to touch. Uncle Hugh came in. You like babies? He asked Caroline. Yeah, I have 2 little sisters. They aren't babies anymore, but I used to help when they were. At dinner, Caroline answered all of Uncle Hugh's questions and laughed at his jokes and passed the salad and got Sloppy Joe socks on her cheeks, which she neatly wiped away with her napkin without being embarrassed. And she helped me tell everyone about finding the next key and how the room turned out to be empty. Maybe there just wasn't time to fill it, Annie suggested. Nah, Uncle Hugh said. The way John liked puzzles, if he locked an empty room, there's a reason. And that's the end of chapter 11. See you next time, which will probably be very soon. I'm going to try to get as much of this done now that we're almost halfway through. See if we can get this book finished. Be careful with that and enjoy, please and thank you. And comment and follow. Hit me up on social media stuff or leave a comment below on if you're enjoying this. What other books would you like me to read? Bye.